Hey, so it's that time of year again. It's December 31st, and at 12 a.m. today, it's gonna be the end of the crappiest year of my life, 2020. Woohoo! Yeah, I think everyone's a little excited for this. Um, Even if there may or may not be, uh, reasonable or sane, I guess. I don't know. But basically, a couple days ago, I kind of had a revelation while lying in bed, and I just felt like I kind of needed to share it. Not not just with random people online, but also to my friends and family who probably will see this when I upload it on my channel. But I also wanted to make this so then I have this like on record pretty much so that I can look back on this years from now, and if I'm ever in a dark spot again, I can use this to remind me what I've had to go through. So, fair warning, this is literally me just talking, and you're probably going to be faced with like some sort of solid color screen because I literally don't have the time nor the energy to make this into something, exciting or enjoyable, I guess. And also, it's literally just going to be me ranting, and it's going to be kind of sappy because I may or may not get emotional when saying this. I don't know. It also is talking about my life, and it's it's not that great. Anywho, let's get into this. So I first want to start off with my first 3 years of school. That would be kindergarten, first grade, and second grade. Preschool doesn't count. So I was in public school for those first 3 years of my life, and it actually wasn't bad. It wasn't at the time when I was alive. That sounds so weird saying that, but at the time that I was alive, public school wasn't that bad. I mean, sure, I'm a minority. Like I literally one in a whole ocean of children, but for me, it wasn't that bad. My public school wasn't really that bad. For kindergarten, it wasn't really anything too memorable, I guess. There wasn't really anything that was good or bad about it. Well, it was enjoyable. I gotta say that. It was enjoyable. And I don't regret anything from that year. And that's probably due to me just being so young, and also just because I had a really good teacher, and well, yeah, also because I was just too young. But then, just 1 year later, in first grade, is where I feel my life just started to take that spiral downward. So basically, I don't remember too much. There's really only one thing that I remember most, but in general, I was a pretty good kid, but I was pretty uh what's the word? Pretty curious, I guess. I don't really know how to explain it. The one memory that I remember is that I had this friend who I believed was named William. If any of my friends named William are watching this, it's not you. This is like my school friend, elementary school friend William, who I literally don't have any contact with at all. So basically, I don't actually remember why he was either walking or running past my desk, but I thought that it would be funny for both of us for me to stick out my leg and trip him purposefully. Yeah. Most people would never have seen that coming from me. Of course, my teacher didn't really put up with it, and I got a thing called a red card. Basically, that just means that it's not detention, but you do have to stay in at recess. And you can't, go out and play. You just have to sit there, do homework, or just sit there and mope. I never used it for homework. I just sat there and moped. But I believe that was the first of many mistakes that I would have to learn from. Fast forward again to another year, second grade, and, well, it's hard to explain this year as well. It's hard to put words to this year, but I think the best words that would fit are like, I was insecure about myself. I didn't have a lot of friends, and the friends that I did have, they were pretty good, but I mean, some of them, most of them weren't really friends, you know? Not that they were bad or anything. Well, actually, some of them were bad, but most of them were actually good kids. It's just we weren't really connecting anytime out of school, you know? The main thing about this year is there is this kid named Brayden. Now, if somehow Brayden from second grade is watching this, listen, man, I don't know what was going on in your household or anything, and I don't blame you for anything that you were doing. You probably didn't even realize until like later on in life, but wherever you are, man, I hope you're doing fine, and I don't mean any ill will. But Brayden, he was kind of like the cool kid of second grade. He was, I don't know, I think he was taller and possibly maybe a little older than us. Maybe even by a year. Maybe he was one of those kids that, like, had a birthday, like, just after the school year. I think that's how that works. Or just before the school year. Ooh, excuse me. Anywho, I think he was definitely older than us because of how tall he was. And in my somewhat black and white memory, I think he had a deeper voice as well. I mean, obviously not as deep as, you know, like a teenager or something. I don't think he was that much older than us. That was actually not very... But anyway, looks this cool kid, Brayden. I, for some reason, looked up to him. Even though he kind of had some issues of his own, we'll say. I'm pretty sure that Brayden was a smart kid. But because he knew that, like, all of us were looking up to him because he was taller, possibly older, I don't know, I never asked because that's kind of, you know, a little rude to ask. But basically, I looked up to him, and he kind of became like a bully, I guess. Like, he wasn't really, like, bullying, you know. It wasn't anything like that where he was like knocking the books out of people's hands and whatnot, but he was excluding people from his group. And although that's not really bullying, it kind of felt bad for me, you know. I normally wasn't like, you know, excluded. Like I wasn't normally like, no, you can't sit with us at all. You're not cool enough. But a lot of the time, whenever I didn't get to sit around Brayden, I didn't feel good about myself, which is completely weird considering that him and I weren't the only ones in our classroom. And actually, I think one of my best friends, who I'll just go by M because I know that he's on YouTube and such. I know that I met M sometime in elementary, but I don't know I don't recall if he was in my school or not. Wait, no, he was in my school because we talked about the principal and like his Corvettes and such. Yeah, our principal had a Corvette. He was pretty cool. I liked him. Anyway, even though I had like good friends like M, who's actually still my friend today, probably one of my best friends, I would even say, I really wanted to follow this kid Brayden because I don't know. I really just don't know. And just from those 3 years alone, I've already come to a conclusion that I really like making friends, which is entirely weird to say And it's so weird that is coming out of my mouth, because I've been living in the mindset that I've been introverted the entire time. But maybe, just maybe, I'm a little bit more extroverted than introverted. Just maybe. I'm throwing that out there. Because there's some times where I really just want to be alone, and I just want to read a book, play a video game, watch some videos, and not be interrupted at all. But there's also a lot of times where I want to have interaction with people. I not only crave my own self alone time, I also crave spending time with other people. And I think that's kind of natural. A lot of people could probably agree with that they still have to have at least one person that they can talk to, no matter how introverted. No matter how introverted they may be. What was I talking about? Oh my gosh. If you can't already tell already, this is entirely unscripted, and I apologize for that, but I really just don't want to, I don't want to take the time to write one. But anyway, sum up, kindergarten through second grade. Okay times. They were mostly good, especially compared to like future years. But there was that kind of longing for friendships, you know? There was that focus more on other people than there was a focus on myself. And I think that's one of the main things that has kind of sent me into a whirlwind of issues that I still have to deal with today. So now comes what I call the next phase of my life, and that is 3rd through 6th grade. So public school wasn't really working for me. Their curriculum wasn't challenging enough for me. I know I sound real humble when I say this, but I'm a pretty smart kid, and just I was in their gifted and talented program, which is pretty much just honors for elementary, pretty much. Geez, I'm even using like college terms to like describe this, and I still was not challenged enough. I was too smart for the program. And of course, you would naturally think that I would ace all my classes. I would get my homework done literally the second I got home. But no, homie don't play like that. Homie likes to play Minecraft all the time. I love to play Minecraft so much back then. So many good memories. So many bad ones too. Gosh. But yeah, instead of, doing the smart thing and like getting my homework done and turning it in, I would procrastinate on it because I didn't like it. I mean, who really likes to do school? No one. But they have to do it because they need to learn. We all need to learn something to get anywhere in life. So I wasn't necessarily failing my classes because in, kindergarten through 2nd grade, they're kind of a little more lenient about that. Because, we're young, could have lost it or something. But there still was late grades for stuff, so I props to them for that. But we needed a change of scenery. So my mom hooked me up with Connections Academy, which is an entirely online school. I first want to say that Connections Academy's curriculum was spot on. Somehow, I don't honestly even know how. Somehow, they made it so that it was challenging for me, but it wasn't overwhelming. It honestly, looking back, it honestly blows my mind how I was still, engaged in everything, how I was so engaged with what I was learning, but yet I wasn't getting overwhelmed by it. Because, fast forward to, middle school, high school years, I'm getting overwhelmed by all this stuff. And I mean, it's not even that hard, really. It's not like I'm trying to learn, rocket physics or anything like that. And yeah, of course. The years before middle school and high school are going to be a lot easier because you're younger. Yes, I get that. I'm smart enough to realize that at least. But it was, the standard work for your age. And most average people would be fine just doing it. But I still get overwhelmed with a lot of stuff, especially in middle school, high school, and I know that. but I just gotta get it done. But see, the thing is, I think the main reason why it wasn't so overwhelming is that there is no due date for stuff. Like, no due date for assignments, no due date for, like, tests, no due date for quizzes. There was none of that. I mean, there was, like, a calendar, an online calendar, where there were specific days where you were supposed to do something, but there wasn't really any time where you didn't have to get it done. I mean, I can't remember for sure whether or not they had quarters or semesters, but there was, you had to get all this stuff done by, like, the end of the quarter or the end of the semester. But that's, like, the only due date. That's the only due date. Like, I could have 4 lessons that were on my calendar today, right? And for most schools, when you have 4 assignments that were asked for yesterday, you have to get them done, like, tomorrow. Okay, that literally made no sense, but you get what I mean. I hope you get what I mean. Like, with most schools, you get homework, it's due the next day. But that's not the case for Connections. Yes, it does show up as overdue assignments, but there isn't really any due date for it to be overdue in the first place. Like, I could literally leave a test. Yes, a test. I could leave a test out for, like, however long I really wanted to. Could be a week, could be, I don't know, probably a month. It really could be any time. And I could, like, oh, actually, let me rephrase it. It could be any time within reason. I mean, like, I can't do all the stuff at, like, the end of the school year, or after, like, into summer. That was so dumb. I'm probably gonna cut that out. Maybe put it in the blooper reel. I don't know. But that's, I think, is both their key factor and their key downfall. Or I should say, one of their key downfalls, because I'll talk about another one in a minute. Having due dates kind of, sets us up for life. With any kind of work, we have a specific quota that we have to fill throughout, like, the day or the week or the month or something like that. We have a specific amount of time that we have to, like, be working. Or with, like, some jobs, you even have to have, like, you have to, like, work the day before and turn it in the day tomorrow. And I don't think I need to mention college, because everyone will probably think of that as well. But I think that was one of the main things that kind of set me up for failure, honestly, later on in life, is that I didn't have a grasp of due dates ever since, like, elementary school. But there's also this other key factor that I think kind of increased my I guess we'll call it social dysfunction. I'm not really dysfunctional when it comes to being social, but it is still a little difficult for me to not only create those friendships, but also maintain those friendships. I still haven't gotten a full grasp on how to do that properly, I think. Oh gosh, this is taking too much brain power. And the reason for that being, the school was all online. Yes, we did have a teacher, and we did have classmates. However, the only times that we would be able to connect with them is either through their little email system, if you have your friend's email, or through a little thing called live lessons. Now, it's actually kind of ingenious how they did this, because, like, with most schools, you need, like, a teacher there to instruct you on what you're doing. And Connections knows this, so they host both one-on-one and whole classroom, an entire classroom sessions online via, I don't know what it is. It's some sort of Adobe program or whatnot. Just imagine Zoom, but it's a lot more high-tech, and there's a lot more things you could do with it. Like, for example, there's chats, there's, like, Q&As that you can make. You can even put your webcam up there if you really wanted to. You can draw, and then on top of that, like, with members and such, there's, like, the host, then there's presenters, and then there's, just students or, like, viewers, pretty much. It's kind of hard to explain without without showing it, honestly. It's hard to explain it with words. But just take my word for it. It was like Zoom, but it was a lot more high tech. We'll just say that. But like, you know how I said you could put up your webcam? Well, you see, the thing is, no one really ever did that. The teachers, at least my teachers back then, never put up their webcam. Ever. And us students, we weren't even allowed to do that in the first place for quite obvious reasons. But I think that's one of the other key things that kind of set me up for failure in life, is that I didn't have true social interaction. I didn't have face-to-face interaction with people. And that's probably one of the reasons why I suck at being a friend sometimes. Most of the time, maybe. I also forgot to put that there was actually like live events, like in-person events that Connections held, where you could go meet people face-to-face. But like, that's like saying you only have like school events that you can meet your classmates with. That sentence is not grammatically correct, but I'm just going to go with it. That's like saying only at school dances, only at... Okay, that didn't go anywhere. But school events were like the only way that you could meet your friends in Connections. That was it. Only events. But the main flaw about that is that, well, not everyone's going to arrive at the same time, because we all have other important things to do in our lives, like school. Plus, I don't think everyone really lived in around the same area anyways. Yeah, there's like different parts of my state that you could have been living in. You could have been living either like a couple minutes away or like hours away. So, yeah. But yeah, like, here's a key example. I actually don't know what grade it was, but during that time, when I was in Connections Academy, I actually made a friend named, I wanted to say Braden, but I think that's wrong. I'm just going to call him Brandon, just so like no one gets confused of who is who, but I'm going to call him Brandon, even though that's probably not at all his name. So Brandon and I first, like, you know, talked to each other via live lessons. And we kind of were, like, privately chatting with each other, because there's that feature as well, which is, I think it's fine, I guess. It's not really that abusable, I think, because I think the host can see all that if they took the time to look at it. But anyway, Brandon and I first started talking on live lessons. Then we got each other's emails, our school emails, and we kind of didn't really talk to each other at all. However, state testing comes around, and, you know, I get done with it early. I'm not flexing or anything, because I'm not, like, getting done with it as fast as I can, but I can get through it pretty quickly. I'm not trying to brag here, I promise. But anyway, I finish early, and I go out in the waiting area, and this kid walks up to me, and I honestly don't remember how we greeted each other, or even if we had name tags, but I think I knew somehow that this kid was Brandon. So Brandon and I, you know, kind of like chatted for a little bit, because this is like the first time we're meeting face to face. And we're just talking and talking and talking. And actually, one of the most memorable parts about this is that he was the first one who introduced me to like FNAF. Well, actually, he wasn't the first one who introduced me to FNAF. I knew about it beforehand from like YouTube and such, but it was the first time I actually like saw the game live in person. Yeah, we'll go with that. But that's besides the point. The point I'm making is like there's only specific times where you could possibly meet your friend, and it just wasn't working, you know? You don't just like, okay, well, you can kind of go out with a stranger and whatnot, but you can't just pretty much go out with a stranger for like a few specific times through the year and expect that we're gonna actually make like a long-lasting, fruitful friendship. Like that's literally impossible. Well, nothing's really impossible, but it's pretty darn difficult, and definitely not something like I would have enough patience to do. Oh my gosh. Okay. Of course, I'm a living example of, like, that long distance relationships actually do work, because I do have a lot of friends that are long distance, and I still keep up with them and they're still good friends with me, but like it's still really hard to maintain that long-term friendship unless you have like some sort of defining moment that like brought all of you together. I don't know. I feel like I'm just rambling here, so I probably should just stop talking about that. But anyway, the too long didn't read, or I guess in this case, too long didn't listen, is that Connections Academy was a lot better academic-wise, but social-wise, it was lacking a lot. It was lacking a lot. And so I went through 4 years of that, and during those 4 years, I kind of got hooked onto YouTube, Minecraft, and and Roblox. Yeah, I've been playing for a long time, but my main account on Roblox, not even like how it's not even accurate as to how long I've been playing. I made that account a long time after, because one, I wasn't really using that email anymore, and two, well, I just kind of wanted to have a fresher start, I don't know. I don't remember exactly why I did it, but I just know that I created a new account. Okay, so I looked up on my main account, like, my join date. My join date is, like, whatever, 6. I hate this. January, February, March, April, June. Wait, what? It's January. I looked it up, and my account that I use now was made in June of 2014. But my other one is in December of 2013. Okay, so actually maybe I've not been playing for that long. 7 years. Well, it's still 7 years. 7 years is a long time, which is kind of ironic because I'm actually doing this. Oh, never mind. But I'm doing this in the same month, at least, as when I first joined Roblox back in 2013. And the trifecta of those kind of led me down a path of being a lot more lax with school and more focused on my own pleasures than what would really, truly help me in the long run. Fast forward to my first year of middle school, 7th grade, and I once again changed schools because Connections wasn't really doing it for me. So this time, I'm going to the private school that I'm still currently attending. I'm not gonna say it out loud on video. I'm pretty sure y'all could figure that out anyways if you really wanted to. But now I'm going to this private school, and I literally don't know anyone there. It's middle school, and there's just these 2 kids who I had the weirdest relationship with, we'll just say. It wasn't weird as in anything sketchy, but it was kind of weird, to say the least. So basically, my classmates will know whom I'm talking about. Don't say their names or anything in the comments if you actually ever dare comment on my on my video. But I'm just gonna use the first letters of their names, S and C. So S and C, they were kind of like the sketchy kids in the back of the room. They weren't gonna like, do anything, but they were a little, I don't know the word for it. They were a little selfish, I guess. We'll say that. We'll just go with that. If any of them, if S or C is watching this video, like, guys, I don't mean any ill will to you. But you weren't really exactly the best of friends of mine. And you, at that time, weren't exactly the best of kids either. And I hope you're doing well wherever you're at. Anywho, S and C, they tended to do a lot of bad kid stuff, I guess is the terminology that I'm going to use for now. They tended to be really mischievous, and for some reason I was drawn to that. Like, I don't know why my brain is wired this way, but I really tend to like making a relationship with I don't want to say evil people, but you know, the bad kids, not the bad kids, but like the bad kids, you know. Gosh, too much brain power. But I'm attracted to like the bad kids for some reason, and I honestly don't know why, because I've got plenty of like good friends. Some of mine are even like best friends who are like true friends who would literally do anything for me, honestly, and who I've still stuck around despite me, you know, kind of never interacting with them. Sorry about that. I try my best. I can't even say I try my best sometimes. So yeah. I know I'm not the best friend sometimes. But I really do appreciate y'all friendships, honestly. Like, thank you guys so much for it, honestly. You guys have helped me a lot more than you probably think, so. But basically, I kind of got caught up into S&C's shenanigans sometimes. And, well, to say the least, I didn't do anything that I regret. Well, I did do some things that I regret, but for the most part, in general, I didn't do anything that would have ruined me in the long run. At least I don't think so. I could be wrong, and I could have hurt someone's feelings. Probably did hurt someone's feelings, honestly. I didn't, you know, do a crime, is what I'm trying to say here. I didn't, like, I probably shouldn't say that on YouTube, but I didn't harm somebody. There we go. That's the way to go about saying that. But yeah, I kind of got caught up with them instead of like my actual friends, and it was a really dark time for me. Like, really, really dark. In fact, believe it or not, guys, I went through a emo phase. I was going through an emo phase at that time. You probably didn't know because, like, you know, at least for me, no offense to any emos out there, but like, I typically think of an emo as someone with like black hood, they're wearing chains, they're wearing spikes or something like that. They're trying to look all sketchy and whatnot. If I have enough time, I'll probably pull up a picture of like what I imagine the stereotypical emo to be. But I wasn't like that. I wore normal. I probably shouldn't say normal clothes, but you know, I wore standard clothes, average clothes, nothing that really like blatantly said that I was an emo. But yeah, I went through a really dark phase throughout like middle school and most of my high school year. Really, only this year is kind of where I turned around for the better, honestly. Anywho, yeah, so S&C kind of started my down spiral into my emo phase, my dark phase. It wasn't any of their fault. I'm sure they didn't mean to do that. They didn't think that was gonna cause that. Again, I don't mean any ill will towards S&C, but I think you guys really need to check yourselves, honestly, because I've actually been worried about you two for the longest time, but I couldn't bring myself to say it because I was afraid that maybe I would lose y'all friendship. And it feels weird saying this, but for some reason I held you two above everyone else. And I don't know why, because at the time that you two and I were interacting, it wasn't a real friendship, you know? It wasn't something that was supposed to last for all eternity. It was kind of like the friendship that me and Brayden had back in like elementary school. Anywho, I'm rambling again, as normal. So, each year of middle school and high school got progressively worse. 7th grade, it was kind of okay. It was the start of the downward slope, so it wasn't really that bad. But like in 8th grade, it wasn't that bad either, but it was a little worse, I would say. But as soon as 9th grade hit, my freshman year of high school, that's when things started to really take a turn for the worse. I wasn't like failing all my classes or anything, but it got really hard to do them. And it wasn't because, well, it was partially because, you know, the work is a lot harder compared to 8th grade, but that's only like a small portion of that reason. I think at that time, I also had been in a sort of like roleplay thing on Roblox in Discord, and it kind of took over my life, honestly. I wasn't doing any of my school. I wasn't really taking care of myself at all. As much fun as it was killing me inside. Not to mention I didn't really have the best setup for gaming anyways, so it wasn't really that enjoyable sometimes when I had the 1% drops to where I literally was looking pretty much at a slideshow. But I'm repeating myself again. But as much fun as it was killing me inside. But I couldn't admit it, because I enjoyed doing it so much. It distracted me from how sad I was, how depressed I was. I don't want to say I had like clinical depression, but it was definitely some form of depression. I had some form of depression for an extended period of time, from like 7th to like 11th grade. So I don't know if it was what's considered clinical depression, but it was some intense form of depression. But I still managed to get through my 9th grade year just fine. 10th grade was more or less the same thing. My academics got a little worse, but I think that year was actually surprisingly easier than any year in high school, I should say. But then comes 11th grade, last year. And oh boy, this is where I hit rock bottom, pretty much. Thank God I didn't fail all my classes. All my classes didn't have the best of grades, and I did fail one class in particular, Algebra 2, but at least they weren't all fails, you know? And a lot of it was due to my own decisions, my own poor decisions. I can't remember for sure, but I think at that time I had left that specific roleplay, but I instead joined another one that was a little newer and one that might be a little bit, you know, easier, more lax on like the amount of time that you spent there. I don't know what was going through my head, but it was really fun doing that. Like, although not all of my friendships were long lasting, there are still some that are there checking on me, even though I literally can't be on Discord that often. Actually, pretty much like at all. The only time that like now this is kind of like a little hush hush thing. My parents will probably find out, but it's fine. There's only like one way that I can get on to Discord, and I only do that just to check up to see if anybody's DM'd me or anything. And for voice acting, that's literally it. Mom and Dad, I promise I'm not chatting on there at all. I'm just making sure that everything is A-okay. I don't chat. I don't participate in any of the chats. I don't voice call, obviously, because otherwise you'd hear it. But I just check in every once in a while, like once every like 2 months, just to make sure that like I'm not missing anything for voice acting and whatnot. That's it, I promise. Anyway, with that little thing out of the way, this is going to be a doozy when my parents find out, but oh well. But anyway, my 11th grade year really sucked. It really did suck. In fact, I would say it's the worst year of my life, honestly. Not even like 2020 right now could compare, honestly. And throughout this entire stage of depression, I literally did not feel good about myself. I was really insecure, and I always felt like that I was putting on a face whenever I'm around people. I still kind of feel like that, but it's a little better now because I'm not always feeling that depression, you know? I'm more or less over that now, over my depression now. Sorry, I literally lost my train of thought. And I also don't really I don't really enjoy reliving my 11th grade year because it was one of the scariest times for me, and I don't like reliving it. But in short, my 11th grade year really did suck. I was depressed. This is like the peak of my depression. I wasn't doing well in school. I was procrastinating a lot of work. A lot of work was late or not even turned in at all. I was doing a lot more of the role play than I was doing taking care of myself with like school and just self-care in general. I can only thank God that I never felt suicidal, but I had lost the will to live. I really did. And there's literally no better way to put it. I lost the will to live, but I was not suicidal. I literally did not want to live my life anymore. And I didn't feel like I was good enough to live my life anymore. And that in turn, my entire last couple of years really kind of, I feel like, messed up my relationship between both my friends and the one girlfriend that I had for a little while. I know it sounds kind of insensitive, and I'm pretty sure that the one person that I'm referring to may or may not feel offended from this, but please don't feel offended from this because um it's best that we just move on anyways. I have kind of more or less moved on from it, but it still kind of haunts me, you know? It's always going to be there in the back of my mind, nagging at me, telling me that I could have done better. I could have been better if I had just, you know, realized my problems and fixed them. But yeah. Anywho, there is a light at the end of this dark story, though. Is that at the end of that year, actually, no, never mind. Near the end of 11th grade, I actually started getting better. I don't know what clicked inside of me. Lord only knows. Something finally clicked. And I started to be more on the upward side of things. I started going back upward for some reason. I didn't really change anything different. I mean, well, for a while, I didn't have a phone, and for the longest time now, I haven't had true access to Discord, and maybe that's kind of what fixed me, is that I took an entire detox from all this social interaction online. And pretty much from all gaming as well. And I don't know. I guess that in turn allowed me to reflect more on myself, I guess, more of what I want to do in life. Pretty much when my phone got snapped in half, the 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 dark part inside of me that was still holding on to whatever it could finally, like, that connection was finally broken off. And as much as I still hate thinking about what my parent did to my phone all of a sudden while I was on a voice call with someone, I now can see why they did it. I can see now, like, this was like the first time I've really truly matured in life, even if it is just a little bit. I swear I'm not actually entirely mature, no matter how mature I seem. I'm not entirely mature yet, and I know that, and I'm trying to get there. It's just there's still that residual where I don't really want to live my life. Like there still isn't that reason for living, you know? And I know the reason too. I'm Christian, in case you didn't know. So I have God as my reason, giving God glory. But like I still don't know where I want to do that or how I want to do that, I guess. And it's all really overwhelming now that like this specific year has like literally laid everything upon me. Not only did I want to change, not only did I mature from that experience, not only did I want to change, but also, COVID shut everything down. And I couldn't, interact with my friends or anything like that. It really did suck. And honestly, I think I can kind of see why we did that. Like, I understand the reasoning behind it, at least. But like this prolonged lockdown, that has literally been so draining on me. And I'm pretty sure a lot of students can agree with that. Pretty sure a lot of people in general can agree with that. And we all kind of like are hating this right now because really the minority that is going to be most affected should be taking special measures to stay healthy, to stay safe, not us. And there's that kind of selfish part in me that like wishes that everything could just reopen and we could all just pretty much forget about COVID. But there's also the side of me that's like, dude, like some of these people, if they get this, they're gonna die. Even if they get this stuff, even if they get help for it, they're probably most likely going to still die. But there's still that side of me that says they're a minority. And if they are going to be affected in that way, they need to be taking the special measures to stay healthy, not us. We should not be living in a mindset where everyone must be safe, because everyone is not going to be safe. There's always going to be risks in this world, and we have to decide what risks we want to take. And whether or not that means we live or die, get sick or stay healthy, that's up to our own personal choice. I know I sound kind of hard-hearted right now with a lot of the stuff that I'm saying, but I think the reason why so much backlash comes from this is because it's true. But yeah, pretty much what I was saying is that 2020 sucked. I don't think I really need to say that because everyone can agree with that. I hope. Actually, no, I don't. I hope, because I really hope that people did enjoy some part of this year, honestly. But this entire year really was like monumental in my life. And I'm going to be 18 in April. And on top of that, I'm most likely going to be in college after this summer. This fall of 2021, I'm going to be in college. Most likely. I'm still, trying to decide where I want to go and whatnot. And honestly, if it's not going to be in person, I don't want anything to do with it, because I've already spent 4 years of my life in online school, and I've already spent almost an entire year now. Well, actually, no, sorry. Almost an entire half a year doing school online that was supposed to be public in the first place. I guess in this case private, because I go to private school. And it sucked. It sucked. I don't want to do that. I want the quote-unquote true college experience where I go and actually go learn something with people around me, with friends that I make in college around me, friendships that could last lifetimes. You can't get that online. And I think that's what people need to realize a lot of times, is that you can't get a true connection online, no matter how hard you try. You have to at least meet this person that you're talking to in real life. You have to meet them at least once in your lifetime. Maybe even a couple times to even truly get to know them. Because I know from experience that people do lie about who they are, and they do lie about how they feel and what their beliefs are, and they do lie about themselves all the time online. I know this from personal experience, from me doing it, and also from other people doing it. And I also know this because I've seen videos on it, but it's really easy to mask yourself online. I mean, you still can't, 100% mask yourself. You're not 100% anonymous. No one is ever 100% anonymous. Don't ever think that. But you can, for the most part, mask who you are as a person. So anyway, this is going to be the dumb little conclusion to this, what's now an hour-long recording that I have to go through. At least it's just audio, so it's like not that hard to, edit or whatnot. Here's just a little dumb conclusion. I've learned from life that life does have a meaning, even if you don't know what it is. God has a reason for you to be on earth, even if you don't know it. And it's going to be great. You just have to trust him. You just have to know what he says about you and believe it, because it is true. We may be all created equal, but we're also all created unique. We have our own uniqueness about ourselves that differentiates us from one person to the next. And in addition to this, don't worry about how many friends you have. Worry about how good of a friends you have. Quality over quantity. And not even just friends either. Worry about your acquaintances too. Who you're talking with online, who you're talking with in real life. Because no matter how much you can just dismiss the fact that they affect you in any way, they do affect you. They do. I know this from personal experience, that they do affect how you speak, how you think, how you act. And also the thing that I can't encourage more is to think about the possibility of God. You don't have to believe in it right away. I don't expect anyone to just hear my or some pastor's words and just blindly follow it. No, I don't think you should do that. But you should at least consider the possibility. Have an open mind about it. Think about the pros and the cons of having this belief, and actually go into research about the facts behind it, because there most likely is something that you don't know. I learned that myself, that there's a lot of things that I don't know. And as much as we want to live independent, and we want to live free, we want to live our own life, that's not how this world works. This world has rules. This world has morals. This world has absolute truths. And we have to realize that and think about our lives. We have to think about our families, our relationships, our friends, even just the random homeless person that's begging for money. We have to think about them. We have to think about all of the ways we are connected. Alright, I think I'm going to stop that there. I've rambled for long enough, and if I don't stop now, I'm probably going to never stop, and this will be like, well, I only have enough space for like 8 hours and 45 minutes, but this will probably be too long of a recording for me to even edit in send in before this year is over. But yeah, I've actually wanted to make one of these a long time ago. Like one of my favorite YouTubers, Corey Kenshin, he made one of these videos like a while back about why 2020 is the worst year of his life. And I really wanted to make one then, but I feel like it's a lot more fitting to make one now when 2020 is just about to end, literally tonight. But anyway, if you listened this far, I just want to say thank you. I don't know how long of a video this is going to be, because right now the recording's at like an hour and 20 minutes. This is going to be a doozy to edit. If you watched all the way to the end of this, listen to all my sappiness and all my rambling, then I just want to say again, thank you, because you didn't really have to do it. You didn't really have to watch this video. This is really just the main reason why I made this video is just so I can look back on this like years from now, or even just like when I'm in college, the first year that I'm in college, just to remind me of what I learned during my dark times, just to kind of keep the memory alive, you know? All right. That's all for now. Have a good day. Have a good rest of your 2020, and goodbye. Okay, if you made it this far, then guess what? You get to listen to like the 3 bloopers that I decided to keep into the video, because that's just something I normally do, is I normally have a blooper reel at the end of my videos. So why not? Why not? Just why not? If any of my friends willing, if my friends willing, it's my main account, my I don't know if I'm allowed to say it. I don't even know if I want to say it, honestly. So real quick, my computer's doing that stupid thing again where it doesn't have enough resources to even record audio. It doesn't take that much to record audio and open a Microsoft Edge window. One window. I don't even have anything else open other than Task Manager and Notepad, and those like don't require any freaking services in the first place. Why I can't even say I tried my breath. Sorry guys. I know I'm not really the best of friend. I took an entire frick. One of my most. Also, I left this other one in because I don't know. I worked too hard on thinking of how to speak it, but I'm just gonna give you a fair warning. This is really long. This is a really long rant about Christianity. It's really long and really cringy, so click off now if you don't want to like suffer. I mean, look at Christianity, for instance. I know people don't believe in God or anything, that any of this is true, and that all of this is just stupid for believing in something that doesn't exist. But like, here's the thing though. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares if I believe in something that isn't real? If it's allowing me to not only maintain morality, a good morality, I should clarify, but it's also allowing me to, you know, not myself, you know? If it's giving me some sort of meaning in life, is it really that bad? And also, there's a lot of quote-unquote scientific facts behind this. A lot of them I don't even know because, well, I never really asked. I never really questioned it, just from the little bit that I've seen, the little bit that I know. And that's why I encourage people that if you want to ask me questions about why this is happening, why that is happening, then you can look it up for yourself, because oh gosh, I'm really rambling. I'm really going off on a tangent here. But it's true though. If you want to ask me questions, why don't you do the research first, all right? Why don't you look what it says in the Bible? And why don't you look what this Christian says about it? And why don't you look like what this Christian says about it? Maybe even this Christian too, if you want to add a third view into it. And then definitely, for sure, ask what an atheist or whatever you believe thinks about it. But don't feel like I'm declining any questions, because honestly that helps me think about my faith anyways. So that's a good thing. Where was I? Oh gosh. Um I literally don't remember where I was. Oh no.